All right, buckle up because today's deep dive is gonna be juicy.
Juicy is right.
We're digging into the world of figs,
That's right.
but not just any old figs.
No.
We're talking about how these little fruits
Oh, they're fascinating.
are connected to some seriously cutting-edge medical tech, and I know you're all about conservation.
I am.
So this is gonna be right up your alley.
Well, I'm excited to dig in then,
So am I.
because it really is remarkable how often we stumble upon these hidden connections between things that seem
Totally unrelated.
totally, yeah.
Yeah.
Like who would have thought figs and
Like mechanical ventilation.
exactly mechanical ventilation would have anything in common.
Right? It's like, what?
But this deep dive really brings that home. It takes us on a journey from the intricate biology of figs all the way to how it's inspiring these new approaches to medical treatments.
Yeah, so you said medical treatments, like mechanical ventilation.
Yeah, exactly. Like how they're using what we're learning about figs to potentially improve mechanical ventilation. It's
Yeah.
really quite something.
Okay, color me intrigued. I'm officially intrigued.
You and me both.
But, okay, let's back up for a sec.
Sure.
Because I gotta be honest,
Yeah.
I always thought figs were pretty basic.
Yeah.
You pluck them off a tree, you eat them. End of story. What am I missing?
Oh, you are missing a lot.
Okay.
First of all, a fig isn't even a fruit.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I know. It's mind-blowing. It's actually what's called an inflorescence.
An inflorescence?
Basically, a cluster of teeny tiny flowers
Yeah.
all tucked inside that fleshy part that we think of as the fig.
Okay, so every time I eat a fig, I'm eating a bunch of flowers.
You got it. It's
But-
flower party in your mouth.
My mind is blown. I am shook right now.
It's pretty wild, isn't it?
It's wild.
And it gets even more wild because these flowers, they need a very specific partner to help them reproduce.
Okay.
A tiny wasp.
Okay, I've heard of fig wasps.
You have.
But how tiny are we talking? Like fruit fly? Tiny?
Even tinier.
Oh my God.
Like ant-sized or even smaller depending on the species.
Wow.
But don't let their size fool you. These wasps are incredible navigators. Okay. Each species of fig releases its own unique scent,
Interesting.
like a personalized perfume.
Okay.
And these wasps have evolved to sniff out their match.
So it's like a dating app,
Totally.
but for figs and wasps.
There you go. That's a great way to put it. This species-specific relationship is what we call mutualism.
Mutualism.
Yeah. The fig needs the wasp for pollination, and the wasp needs the fig to lay its eggs.
Okay, I get it.
They're totally dependent on each other.
So they need each other to survive.
Absolutely. It's a partnership millions of years in the making.
Wow. And you're saying this is actually quite a fragile system.
Wow.
Like, what makes it so vulnerable?
Yeah, that's a great question. And that's what we're going to get into next.
Okay.
It's like you're putting all your eggs in one basket,
Right.
ecologically speaking.
Makes sense.
Yeah, if something happens to one partner, the other one's in trouble.
They're kind of out of luck.
Exactly.
And that's where this whole idea of critical population size comes in.
Yes.
CPS. I saw that in one of the papers you sent.
Yeah, CPS is basically like the magic number
Yep.
of fig trees you need to have around to support a healthy wasp population.
Interesting.
Too few trees and the wasp, they just can't find enough places to reproduce.
So they just die off.
Essentially, yeah. Their numbers crash.
It's like if there are not enough people on a dating app,
Yes, exactly.
we're less likely to find a date.
It's a good analogy because remember, these wasps have really short lifespans.
Right.
It's a race against time to find the right fig. Pollinate, lay their eggs, and start the cycle all over again.
I see. And I imagine this is even more of a problem where
Absolutely.
there's like habitat fragmentation,
Yeah,
where the forests are all broken up
100%.
and patchy.
Yeah. One of the studies you shared actually looked at this exact problem
Okay.
with the fig species called Ficus natalensis.
Okay.
And they use computer simulations to try to figure out its CPS.
Okay, so they're like modeling it.
Exactly.
Try to figure out
But-
what would be the minimum
What's the minimum number of trees you need?
to make this work.
Exactly. To have a viable population.
And what'd they find?
Well, what they found was kind of shocking.
What?
It turns out that this fig species needs a much larger area of continuous forest than they initially thought.
What?
Way bigger than anyone expected.
Mm-hmm.
And this means that protecting just a few isolated trees,
It's not going to cut it.
it's not enough.
Mm-hmm.
You need to think bigger.
Mhm.
We need to protect entire landscapes to keep these partnerships intact.
That's really wild. It's really interesting how this is highlighting just how interconnected everything is.
It is. It's an intricate web.
It is. But you know, it's funny because we're talking about like saving the figs and protecting the figs, but aren't some figs considered invasive
It's true.
in certain places?
You would think that we'd want to get rid of all figs everywhere, but it's not that simple.
Yeah, because there's the good and the bad.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And for a long time, people thought that they could introduce new fig species to places without their wasp partners. The idea was no wasps, no pollination, no problem.
Right, they won't be able to spread.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The trees would be like sitting ducks,
Yeah.
unable to spread.
But that's not what happened.
Not quite.
Those sneaky wasps.
So sneaky wasps,
Yeah.
they found a way. They would sometimes hitch a ride on imported fig trees. Totally by accident.
Oh, no.
I know. And other times people brought them in on purpose,
Really?
not realizing the potential consequences.
Wow.
And I'm sure you can guess what happened next.
What happened?
Once those wasps arrived, things got out of hand.
Yeah.
One example is Ficus microcarpa.
Okay.
Have you heard of that one?
Yeah.
It's native to parts of Asia and Australia, but it's considered a major headache in places like Florida
Oh, really?
and Bermuda.
What happened?
So they were introduced there.
Hmm?
The fig trees started reproducing like crazy.
Oh.
And before anyone knew it, they were spreading like wildfire, crowding out all the native plants.
It's like a cautionary tale
It is.
about messing with these really old,
Right.
ancient...
You just don't mess with millions of years of evolution.
Like, you think you can introduce a plant, but really you're introducing this whole system.
Exactly. You're not just introducing a plant, you're introducing a whole web of interactions.
Yeah. It's a package deal.
It is.
But speaking of Ficus microcarpa,
Yes.
I read that in Bermuda, scientists are actually trying to use this whole fig-wasp relationship to their advantage.
It's true.
What's going on there?
So they're basically fighting fire with fire.
Okay.
They're targeting the wasp's Achilles heel.
Which is winter.
During the winter, very few fig trees are receptive to the wasps.
Oh.
It's like the off-season for fig wasp romance.
Okay.
Okay, so scientists are going out there and they're removing as many wasp-containing figs as they can during this critical window.
Interesting.
Yeah, their hope is to create a gap in the wasp's life cycle that's just too big to bridge.
Wow.
So they're trying to starve them out, so to speak.
So they're like manipulating the system.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're using our knowledge of their biology to try to control their populations.
Wow, that's really fascinating. It's like they're playing chess with these wasps.
Yeah, they're trying to outsmart them.
But you know, I feel like sometimes we get so deep into these weeds
We do.
of the ecology and the specifics of the species,
Yeah, it's easy to get lost in the details.
and we forget to ask, like, why should we care?
That's a great point.
Why are figs so important?
It's a fundamental question.
Besides just like being delicious.
Exactly. Why should people care?
Well,
Well, next we'll get into that.
okay.
Well, figs are what ecologists would call a keystone species.
Keystone species.
Yeah, so they're really important in their ecosystems.
Okay.
They're kind of like the pillar that holds everything up.
Wow.
They're a lifeline for tons of animals, especially in places where other fruit sources are scarce.
So it's like when times get tough,
Exactly.
all the animals are like, thank goodness for the figs.
Figs to the rescue.
That's amazing.
All
So-
sorts of animals depend on them. Birds, bats, monkeys, even some reptiles rely on figs.
Wow, I had no idea.
And they're nutritional powerhouses, too. Did you know that they actually have more calcium than other fruits?
Really?
It's true.
Hmm.
They're like the superfood you never knew about.
No wonder everyone's always telling me to eat my figs.
Right. And all those animals munching on the figs,
Yeah.
they're helping to spread the seeds,
Oh, yeah, that's how it works?
keeping the whole forest healthy and thriving.
Wow, it's really...
So protecting figs isn't just about the figs themselves.
Right.
It's about protecting this whole web of life that depends on them.
It really is all connected.
It is. It's like that butterfly effect,
Totally.
but with figs.
I'm convinced. Save the figs.
Save the figs.
But, okay, I have to circle back to something you mentioned earlier.
Yes.
This whole connection between figs and mechanical ventilation.
Right.
How does that even work?
Okay, so get ready for this because it's pretty wild.
Okay.
Remember how we were talking about the importance of timing for those fig wasps?
Yes.
How they need those figs to be receptive at just the right moment.
Yeah, like timing is everything for them.
Exactly.
It's make or break for the wasps.
Right.
And it turns out that that same principle might actually apply to helping people breathe,
Whoa.
specifically those who are on mechanical ventilation.
Really?
Yeah, so when someone has a lung injury, certain parts of their lungs can collapse,
Oh.
making it really hard to get oxygen into their blood.
And that's where the ventilator comes in.
Right. And traditionally, mechanical ventilation delivers air at a constant pressure.
Okay.
but it's not always the most effective way to reinflate those collapsed areas.
So, like, imagine trying to inflate a balloon,
Yes,
but there's a kink in it.
exactly.
That's not going to inflate properly.
It's not going to be even.
Okay, yeah.
And that's where the figs come in.
Okay, I'm ready.
So researchers started to wonder, what if, instead of delivering that air at a constant pressure, what if they tried varying it?
Oh,
Like mimicking that natural rhythm of fig flowering times,
that's so cool.
where some figs are receptive and others aren't.
So it's like a little bit of controlled chaos in the ventilation system. You got it. Controlled chaos for the win.
I love it, and it works.
The craziest part, it seems to be working
Yeah.
by introducing this variability into the air pressure.
Yeah.
They're seeing some really promising results in terms of improving oxygen uptake
Wow.
and helping those collapsed areas reinflate.
That is incredible. You're telling me that figs
I know, it's kind of mind-blowing.
could hold the key to helping people with lung injuries breathe.
It just goes to show you never know where inspiration's going to come from.
That's such a good point.
Sometimes the most unexpected connections lead to the most groundbreaking discoveries.
This whole deep dive has been full of surprises.
It has, right?
It really feels like we're just scratching the surface of what there is to learn about figs.
Oh, absolutely.
Huh.
We've only just begun to uncover the secrets of these incredible fruits.
There's so much more to explore.
And there's one more thing I have to tell you.
Okay.
Recent research has shown that many fig species aren't pollinated by just one wasp species as we always thought. Yeah, it turns out there can be multiple wasp species,
Wow.
all subtly different, that can pollinate the same fig.
So it's like this whole hidden world of fig-wasp relationships that we're just starting to understand.
Exactly. And this discovery, it throws a real wrench in things.
Yeah.
It raises so many questions about how these multiple wasp species interact with each other. Does it make the system more resilient or more fragile? And how does it change our understanding of fig evolution and conservation?
It sounds like we need a whole other deep dive to unpack all of that.
We definitely do. But for now, I hope this has given you a new appreciation for these amazing little fruits.
I know I have. They're more than just a tasty snack.
They're a window into the interconnectedness of life on Earth.
That is a beautiful way to put it. Well said. And for everyone listening,
Yes.
if this deep dive piqued your interest, don't stop here. Dive into the research we talked about, see what other fascinating tidbits you can dig up about these incredible fruits, and who knows, maybe you'll be the one to make the next big fig discovery.
You never know.
Until next time,
Have-
be exploring.